summer school or at the end 1 week seminar instead of the whole semester.
Gotcha. Well, I'm going to finish up with. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that uh, when you talk about these other classes, in the old days when they had this little red schoolhouse concept, and they had in the one room they would have the kids that were much older and all the way down to the little kindergartners were all there. And they would always end up sort of breaking up into little groups based upon the level of interest and the competency. And a lot of times the older kids would take a younger kid who was just almost at that point and actually help them to come up to that point. So
Okay.
there was a lot more of the kids than helping each other in that kind of an example. And it's something that's kind of lost with the uniformity of having all the kids exactly the same age in the classroom. There's when you talk about breaking the mold of the way we're doing school today, there's so many entrenched political things that are keeping it as it is that I really don't see any of these kinds of changes. I mean, really? I mean, we can talk about it, but
You don't see how it happens. Well,
I
let
don't
me
see
ask
anything
you.
out of it.
Let me
Actually,
finish.
I see programs like yours as the kind of thing that's how you get out of it. Is that you're not going to make them go away, those interests. All you can do is get the kids to be so passionate about something else that they leave it on their own. And then these kinds of hands-on experiences like you're describing is really going to be the solution.
Wow.
It's not going to be through change. It's going to be by introducing something that's just so much more interesting, right? That the kids become passionate about this and they just don't care about the other stuff. That way they can't be damaged.
Well, I'm going to finish up with one question to both of you successful gentlemen that I'm really glad that you gave the time. Paul, you've got to hire some workers. You have to hire some people to come into your business. And I'm assuming that you're looking for STEM skills, obviously, because you're a technology company, correct? What is your ideal employee? What would it take for a Jalen Lewis to be able to come and work for Paul?
It's funny. I think every business has its own kind of culture within the company. The smaller companies like I have, everybody does everything. So you need specialization, yeah, but you also need the attitude that if somebody needs to take the trash out, if you're there, you'll just go ahead and take it. You won't complain about it. It's important. The willingness to okay, I went to school, I learned this discipline, but if we're really going to progress, you're going to have to learn new disciplines. That willingness to continue to learn is a big part of why I would be wanting to hire someone. It's all about attitude. There's a lot of things that we do that you can learn if you're willing to learn them, and if you're willing to go the direction that you want to go. One of the things that I'm very careful about as an owner of a business is I'll hire somebody, and after they've been with them for a while, I'll notice that they're not really interested in this or that. And I could go in and say, I want you to do this, and this is the job. I want you to go do it, and I'll go do it. I found that typically that kind of way of dealing with your employees always ends up in failure. That the real secret is to try and be more like a cheerleader, lay out the program, find out who gets really excited about it, and let them run with it. If you find that you can't get them excited about doing it at all, then don't make them do it. You're better off to go find some new people that do get excited about doing it, or just drop it. It's not going to work anyways.
It's not going to work.
On a specific level, of course, in my business, if there's any good graphic artists out there that are really good at PowerPoint and a combination of doing animation and PowerPoint and graphics, I'm ready to hire you. So, it's interesting that when you think about the kids that when they come into a smaller company like this, they become a part of your family. You're spending as much of your daylight time with them as you are at home, right, in terms of your waking hours. And one of the most important things about it is to get people that you can get along with, that have a similar mindset about metaphysics and the rest of it, so you don't find yourself caught up in these constant conversations of conflict between visions of the way things ought to be in the world, for example. That'll destroy a company pretty fast as your talent leaves because there's just so much animosity going on. It's very difficult for people in government, for example, to understand that you might let somebody go just because he's just not getting along with everybody. Sure, he does his job just fine, but nobody wants to come to work because it's just not a good atmosphere, you know, and it's like, and that's destructive. You know, it's difficult to understand how important, you know, these kinds of sorting out can be. Because that same guy that won't get along in your organization will be fine with the organization down the street because they all think like he does, you know, and they, you know, and there they find that the off-color joke works, or the you know, just the basic attitudes and so forth, they're just acceptable. So it's when it comes to like hiring people, I know it sounds crazy, but that's almost as important as the skill sets that he might possess, his ability to get along with your particular group of people. I guess that was a little off what you weren't thinking.
No, I think that's good. I mean, what I break that down is you know, I heard somebody once say that they hire you for your skills and they fire you because of your behavior.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, seriously, I know plenty of talented people that are not in the NFL now because they were cancers in the locker room.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted to invite that into the locker room, because if you are trying to build a team, you want everybody to get along and everybody to go and work and do what their part is to achieve the common goal. So,
and I think that's one of the important things about this concept of focusing on the team and the kinds of things that you're doing, working as a team, and that again, getting back to that concept of keeping track of who makes these contributions and make sure everybody gets just credit for the work that they do, is that to learn these things early, right, and how important it is to get along with the people that you're working with. And part of that getting along is understanding these relationships and how they work. Is what's going to make it possible for these kids to go into almost any type of an organization and find that he can get along, right, and isn't going to get pushed out. That really is more than just knowing the subject. It's also being able to work within a team environment, you know, and really add to the team and keep the team as a cohesive group that's actually, you know, pulling towards an achievement of one goal. That's how the success of the business will ultimately happen.
okay.
So you know, that I like that approach, by the way, that you're taking with that. I think it's one of the things that was kind of missing from the shop classes that we had. Is that rarely it was always just, you know, you were doing your thing, which is fine. I'm not going to put that down in any way, shape, or form. But to be able to apply some of that same things to this team effort, I think is probably a more valuable exercise in being able to go out and get a job and maintain the job than anything else.
Okay. Henry, what would it take for somebody to come and work for you? What would you look for?
Well, in the business we do a lot of high technical, you know, a lot of PhDs, but be able to work independently, just like Paul said, be able to work as a team. The NRC that goes out of the way, we be professional, like in your notes you had to be professional, to be able to agree to disagree, to respect everyone's difference of opinions. We have a process to go through, and you respect that process. And at the end, you might not have won your cause, but hey, you went through the process, and then you move on. And the same in the military, you can present your case and whatever. You're a team player, but at the end, when the orders are given, be willing to accept, you know, what the orders are. To be able to follow the people who are above you, and also to treat the people below you with respect. Mutual respect up the ladder, mutual respect down the ladder. And usually, like Paul said, if you have that, you can avoid a lot of those problems, like you said, the locker room, where there's mutual respect, professionalism, like you were trying to teach them there. You know, teamwork. Yeah, you have an idea, I have an idea. Let's give credit to people who have an idea. You have some cases where some people in the senior are threatened by people with new ideas. And you have to teach them that they're part of your team. You get credit for your team members. There's no jealousy reason. If they come up with a great idea and that person, you go, hey, they work for me, but they had a great idea. That reflects positively upon you. There's no need to undermine your subordinates. You know, you get a credit in your own right a different way as the leader.
Right.
And you should go out of your way to make sure they're awarded, that you push them ahead of yourself. You know, don't fear that they're going to wind up being your boss. You know, if they're great, you promote them. You know, they have to, you know, you have to have that attitude, and the people that come have to to adapt to that type of environment. So it's difficult. It's difficult, and you nailed it on the head. You're hired for your skills, but most of the time it's the personality problems that get you into the. And so part of this development is you have to know yourself. So knowing yourself avoids the problem. You won't go to Paul's company if you know you can't fit into that environment. Don't do it. Don't go there just because you know you just need the job. If you know you can't fit there, find your niche somewhere else. So know yourself, what you can take, what you're not willing to take. I remember when we went through my job, a career seminar. Was a woman from Northrop. She looked at us and said, "Stop worrying, guys. This is, we know your skills, we know your qualifications, we even know how much we're going to pay you. What we're trying to decide here is how you fit with us and how we fit with you, so that we don't look ugly at each other every morning during work."
Wow.
Right?
That's amazing. That's just almost the same thing as I was just saying.
Exactly. Exactly.
And yet look at what we're doing though. We're beginning to set up these principles of how come, when you can fire somebody and when you can't, and that you can go back and sue the employer for unlawful firings. And yet we don't have a part of the category of why you let them go is because nobody liked them. We just didn't get along.
Right.
There's arguments and bad feelings all the time, and it's like that's never a reason why you can let somebody go. You get sued for that.
And that would be scary as a business owner, to be caught in that. If I bring you into my house and it's going to be difficult for me to ask you to leave if you don't fit or you're tearing up my house, that would make you gun shy and hiring, huh?
Well, yes, it does. The worse yet is that you get some employees that are fully aware of these legal situations, and they'll use it against you.
And
they'll actually become
It's far
jerks
worse than
knowing
Europe.
damn well as
It's
long as
far
they're
worse
doing
than
the
Europe.
and you let them go because they were jerks. Here comes a lawsuit, and you're going to settle, and their attorney friend and them are going to, they're going to do pretty well.
Well, in Europe, it's not even a lawsuit. The EU has rules on
Right.
employment, and I seen that in England where people who are atrocious employees, and the EU came and said you need to hire them back, and they have very liberal ideas what we're talking about, and they missed the whole point. But it's not even a lawsuit there like in America. America's a lawsuit, but there the EU will overturn you. And they had a person the record where you were going like, this is a no-brainer, but the laws are skewed a certain way, I guess, to protect. You know how they're to protect one way the employees used to be, then they go the other way. So it's one of the cases gone extreme. You're just going to have to find a balance.
Wow.
Well, we're living with the 19th century. The reality of the 19th century is that you lived in a place. To move was difficult. So you had these company towns, and you could exploit. In other words, if you were the only druggist in the town, you could be nasty to people. It wouldn't matter where you're going to go.
Right.
And that was true with everything. Well, now mobility is so easy. We have automobiles. We've got apartment buildings. I mean, it's easy to pick up. It's much easier, should I say, so that when an employer becomes someone nobody wants to work for,